Oh, hey guys, how is it going? Long time no see. It certainly has been a while. I'm sure everybody can relate to the stress of just having the things to take care of. I have this awkward schedule where I don't really feel like streaming for an hour and a half, like while I'm in between classes, and simultaneously I don't really care for kind of setting things up at like midnight and going from there. But moving forward, that might be the option I take. I don't know. Not a big deal. we will We'll try to build a more regular schedule as things go on. It's just going to be one of those kind of try and find out things. So what we're going to get into today, um, we're gonna I'm gonna go through this and try and fix it up. I showed this material off probably a while ago, but I don't know. I feel like there's more ways I can tweak it. I think it might be a little too worn. The cracks are just a little bit too procedural for my tastes. So we're gonna start by I actually need to edit the tessellation of this, which I forget where I do that. Although I need to put there we go. I just need to put in tessellation, and I generally just give it obscene numbers that are never gonna exist, unless this was some hero asset that wasn't a cube. I'm just gonna turn up the scale a little bit, like 1 or something. To yeah. So this is very much not like how I want this, which tells me that I need to go modify some things. I mean, obviously the divots should be going inward. So let's actually start with that. Not the divots, the cracks, pardon me. Huh, this is interesting. Cracks are multiplied over top, but if my height field, I'm assuming my height anyways, it's probably, yeah. Interesting. I might end up bypassing this note. I don't particularly see much of a need for this. If we get really, really close, we can sort of see that it's not doing anything at all. And that's kind of to be expected, actually. So let me just reverse the normals and see how that looks. Now, with this low resolution, it's a little bit difficult to tell accurately. I don't like how harsh that is, so I'm going to want to sort of lighten that up a little bit as well, so it's not blending so harshly. So I'm going to come back here, and I think we're just going to, well, I'm going to try and bring that back. I always hit tab because I'm more used to Houdini somehow than I am Substance, even though I've been using the latter longer than the former. So let's just invert grayscale and take my height and do that. Yeah, I mean, that's all I needed to do. So I might bump the resolution up a little bit. It's still pretty jagged along here. And for this particular asset, this might actually be a scenario where someone could potentially, get to be around there. So let me come back into my material definition, right? I just need to edit. Okay, so my scale is fine. I don't think that I necessarily need more laurels, but let's change up the curvature as well. Go in, yeah, my cracks still go inward. I kind of like how like sprawled out they are. They just need to be toned down a little bit. So let's come and look at this. I'm not the biggest fan of those like spots, so that might be something that I kind of warp as well and fix up, and hopefully we'll be able to get this into Redshift by tonight. So that is not affecting what I thought it would. That's going straight into my roughness, isn't it? Yeah, I was not looking at the right thing. It's interesting. I haven't touched this machine in a while, so I have to kind of be like, oh, well, why am I doing that? Actually, why am I doing that? Curvature, there's a reason for that. Ah, jeez. I don't remember what that reason is off the top of my head, so you'll have to forgive me. Although I'm sure there's a resource out there that's gonna somehow, somewhere explain why we're building curvature from, why we're building our roughness from curvature, I should say. So let me come back into here. So that's gonna not really do what I want, I don't think. Really squeeze these guys together. Although I prefer like the large kind of dynamic range that gave. Get it a little bit more extreme and just kind of boost our midpoint up. Yeah, now we're getting somewhere. So what do I want to do to this first? I definitely want to warp it again, just for good measure. Let's put in a warp. I need something to warp it by, so I'm probably gonna just... Oh, Gaussian noise. Is that new? Either that or it's just been so long. Well, we'll try this. This actually kind of has the controls that I want. Just to, break it up a little bit and even it out. Yeah. Just warp it a little bit further. And we might... Yeah, that's too much. Honestly, that should probably be fine. It's not particularly noticeable because I'm not actually bending, the shape, just the height data. And that's really only something that we'd see super, super close up. Okay, let's deal with these, like, little dings in it. That is, yeah, probably in rocks and cracks. Maybe. So I just have to go to the... Yeah, okay. I don't like that. I do not like those. I do not care for those particularly. I don't even know how I'm generating these, if I'm honest. So those are coming up from these large divots. And we've not slurp, that's hilarious. Slope blur grayscaled them. But I'm going to come and play with this. No, I'm not, because there's nothing to play with there. Versus if I tone it down. Yeah, that's probably more akin to what I want. But we're still gonna do another warp. Hey, that's not actually where I wanted the warp. There we go. My output there. I wonder if I can... I really want to recycle that noise, so I think I'll come over and actually recycle this noise. As we just drag this along over into my divots. Just gonna move that back. Not a big deal. Yeah, wherever I put it, wherever you belong. You dingus. Okay, somewhere like there. Okay. I might actually end up needing to go with another noise, so we're gonna... Does it alt click to take it out? No. Well, I can just select the connection and hit delete. Bring in another Gaussian noise. And that is too strong, but we'll pump up the disorder and just bring down the scale of this. Okay, now we're going to replace those there. Yeah, it kind of give a more interesting shape, I think. Okay, now where else does this go? This is going all the way. Okay, into the levels, which I'm probably using to like drive an opacity mask or something. So we're going to plug that in there as well. Yeah, that's having the dirt just line up to it. I'm going to come back to here. And did I must have set up a control for this without even realizing it. Well, I don't see it, so I'm going to say that I probably didn't. Oh, sick. Turns out I set up quite a lot of controls. Okay, that's nice. Although as it actually just make these smaller, honestly. And we've got position, offset, a random amount. I probably could have like not named these quite as long. So one of these is driving my divot opacity. Oh, no. Is it? Okay, no it's not. It probably should be though. I probably should make a function for that, but, well, yeah. Yeah, I might as well. So let's go back to the top level of my material and build a divot opacity. So plus there's not any small divots. For the sake of consistency, I'm gonna leave this as large divot. There aren't, I mean, they're all divots, you know, it's not really differentiating. So we don't need to worry so much about the name here. And just have it make a little more sense. That's a way that I can sort of refactor, I don't know, however, fix that. Coffee runs deep through my veins. Alright, this is a slider, and it is 0 to 1. Opacity with the divots on the material. Label. And then group. Large. Divot. I wonder if I maybe was thinking I was going to put in small divots later. Which is actually, you know, maybe the case. I'm gonna like have this default to 0.67 just because that's what it's at now. And then we can, I'm pretty sure I also could have like just dragged it over into there and it would have done the same thing. So look at large, we'll look at large divot opacity. All right, cool. Now we'll kind of come back up to this top level and I wonder if I have like a color for my dirt. This is an interesting base material, but I'm gonna have to see like what can I do to sort of, you know, spice things up a bit. I think I have some references somewhere of sort of what I want this texture to be, but we will get there when we get there. Where is my... Why are you not up with the group? Unless I spelled something wrong. I don't feel like I did. Oh well, who knows? It's not a big deal. Okay, so turn that opacity like way, way, way down. Let's turn it back up until we get to an acceptable level here. And honestly, maybe we just need less. And we can actually interstice. Oh, intersteve is what I put. What does that even mean? Interstice, that is, well, you know, as that says, change this to make them less grid. Someone might have been up a little too late working on this. That's hilarious. Okay. Not sure why this is a float 4. Because those two don't appear to be doing anything. I think I'd like set expose value and it just sort of did its thing. Oh, okay, I see. There's a random, it's X random and then Y and random. So we're just gonna give everybody random values all around and just increase our position offset by a lot. I love it to be like more spread out. Yeah, it does have random offset. Position random, max random position, and then global offset. Maybe just shift them up and... Actually, there we go. Those might be a little bit more spread out. And we need to work on the opacity of the cracks, or... Actually, this isn't even necessarily a problem with the opacity, they just are super basic. And I think that I would like that to be fixed. I think that I would actually like to come toy with this slope blur grayscale and just take that further. I think the warp is actually too strong because the warp just isn't making much sense to me. At least as far as how the looks of it go. So let's just try bringing that intensity up some more. Kind of like what it's doing. If we get in, we're getting some nice amount of like detail around there. And then the cracks do have a warp applied. Okay, so there's actually quite a bit of they shouldn't be so hard though. So they do have an opacity, but that hardness is definitely something that's also that hardness is definitely something that's also worth like playing with. I'll just sort of massage it down. You know, I bet I could paint this opacity and to decide like how much crack I want. Don't take that statement out of context. Stay in school, kids. Don't use drugs. Yeah, there should be a way to sort of paint that in, and we're actually going to look at that here in a sec. But for now, I guess we'll just come back to the top level and tweak some things. So cracks. Warping intensity. Wow, that's not even that high. Yeah, that looks a little better. Maybe it is too uniform though. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, no, the opacity doesn't do anything. It's broken. You don't want it to be so strong. I don't think I care for how incredibly tiled this is. We'll paint out some of them and leave some in, I suppose. All spidered and cracked now. We're going to turn this scale, like, down. Three might be the magic number. Kind of the magic number for me. I guess I'll just leave it at 4. That's good enough for now. So, with that, let us save this. This should be the most recent version that I have. Let's come into my environment, edit. I don't know why it's not visible. And let's just look at this in a few different scenarios. Blech. Super flat. This is fine. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to give this a quick save again, and then go back up to my base and just set this to ×3 on both ends. Okay, my computer's gonna have a bit of a slight problem, so rip. I can't do math. Let's change this to 2. Parent times 4 will give me that 4K goodness, just to see some of the details come through, although I think ultimately it's going to end up just being a 2K texture. And we are just going to go through and cook everything. Boy, that's hilarious. I'm seeing the viewport there in the in my Streamlabs window, and it absolutely is having some problems. Okay, I think this is an acceptable amount of detail. I mean, it certainly looks like concrete. Are you not entertained? Apparently it's not particularly entertained. I can't say I blame it. Okay, so we're gonna just make this window a little bit bigger. And change our renderer to iRay. Hooray for photorealism. Yeah, this isn't tile, but that's actually okay. So what I think what'll end up happening is there'll be like a material style sheet that's gonna have like 20 of these slightly different textures. Ugh. Yeah. It certainly does its job, but this lighting doesn't. I don't care for the lighting. Let's like change it. There we go. Nice and bright and shiny. I might need to continue to tweak the height field because it just looks a little bit too rough. Although, I think I'm going to leave that as is and see what it looks like when we bring it into Redshift. Because I can tweak the texture itself, or I can tweak the influence that texture has on the normals overall. And the cracks definitely aren't coming through as much as I was expecting them to. So if we come back here into my input parameters, I think we could stand to turn this up to like maybe 0.35 and see how that looks. Yikes. Yeah, it's gonna, go by and like regenerate every node and then simultaneously like try and re-render and cook. Yeah. I still have issues with those. Not a big fan. Okay, so what this is actually for, this is really supposed to be more of like a painted plaster-like material. I think concrete is a good base because we can just paint over, literally paint over it in Substance Painter, but use a more like softer painted looking material to do some material blending as well when we take this into the Redshift material. So I'm going to pop open a new tab in Chrome here. And we're just going to look up plaster. Plaster. I mean, honestly, it's just like super clean. It's not really one of those things that you notice too much unless it's like falling apart. Like a sort of clean plaster finish. I don't know why Band-Aids are in the search. What the heck? Yeah, it's really just a sort of like kind of bumpy, noisy surface, It would have some long, smooth grain in it. Let's look up plaster building. Yeah. And it pretty much looks exactly how I would have expected it to. I think this sort of noise pattern is something we're gonna definitely be getting in the material and substance, and there might even be a pre-built material for that I think I'm gonna grab and use for the project. That seems common enough that it may not be worth going through the trouble to rebuild. So we're gonna go to Cisco, and we're gonna need to sign in here, so I'm gonna drag that off screen and do that. Of course, the password has stars, but I generally just like to also not have my username all over the internet. That feels like that's a good idea. Boy, if there aren't 1,000 things that I need to be figuring out. I always quit Chrome when I don't mean to. Sort of just occurred to me that I didn't name this right. Oh well, I mean I will look at that later. Okay. So let's pop open everybody's favorite Houdini FX, which is side effects software. Oops, not my settings. Houdini FX. I realized I didn't set up any color for this. I'm gonna leave that open, but I'm actually going to come back in here and just turn down the size of it. Set it back to 0 and 0. And I probably have a model somewhere that I can use to paint on that's got UVs. So we're gonna open Painter as well, which is probably gonna be in a logarithmic and Substance Painter. Of course, Houdini FX. I would imagine there's like a model that I can just start painting on. If not, I'm bound to have one somewhere in my repertoire of models and stuff. Right. Yeah, I know it's low. Continue anyway. I don't know why. I know how to do that fix, right? Because you just have to go into the... no, we're not going to update now. You just have to go into the registry, and literally there's a key that's called TDR timeout delay. And you just have to change that key. They've moved that key in whatever version of Windows I am now running, which is actually pissing me off. Open sample. Do I have a sample? It's a preview sphere. Maybe that's what this is for. Hey, nice. Oops. So I could actually Control Z and then kind of delete that bronze armor. So now we've got this stock sort of... Why are we flickering? That's not good. Uh-huh. Use... only going to be in viewer settings. Turn up my environment. What the hell? I would prefer zero blur. There we go. Change that to intensive computation. Shader parameters. This doesn't really care to tessellate, does it? That's probably honestly what the high scale is supposed to be. Or high force. Just gonna set that to 2. I don't need to like play with any of these other things. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to come and actually like point whatchamacallit, I think I'm gonna have to come in and point my original material file. This might be what I want. It's gonna be one of these. Create a subshelf, new shelf, shelf presets, import resources. So I better make a new subshelf here. Whoa, hey, nice. One of these is not actually what I wanted. Alright, well, either way, we need to just import resources. And this is located on D, substances. I need to rebuild the archive, I think. So let me do that. We're gonna cancel. Wrong application. I'm a dingus. There we go. Go ahead and save this. I don't need to publish. Okay, I do need to publish. That's what you're actually supposed to do. We're just going to save over that because the one that I had is a few months old and I like this one. Alright, concrete is the name and substance is the game. Okay. I'm going to assume that that is, at this point in time, done. Add a resource. Yep, it's got today's timestamp. I don't think that I need to... Ooh. I'm going to say that I probably need to use that as a procedural. Let me look that up in the documentation. I realized that there was a folder in my start menu that like had the documentation. But okay, so there's somewhere there's probably going to be importing. I don't think that I need a smart material. No. I feel like what I'm looking for might just be in getting started. Huh. Oh, well, when in doubt, you search. Import. Importing a substance. That is actually exactly what I need. So, substance can be imported into your project. Okay, no, that's for lumberyard. Yikes. I went from painter to friggin... Alright, well, we're just gonna have to get some check. I would imagine that this would either be procedural or a generator. I mean, it could even be base material. I guess maybe we'll just go down the list. Let's import our resources to project preview sphere. Excuse me. Cool. And there's the material. So let's drag it on here. And I might be able to like scale things down. Fill layers are not paintable. We have to go and create a paint layer. I wonder. Okay, cool. So I do have all these like parameters here. The normals are way too intense. So did I add something for that? I don't think that I did. All right. Oh, but I could randomize the seed for everything. Okay, that's pretty cool. But I'm gonna delete that, and I'm actually gonna delete that as well. I don't even know if it'll let me. Heck. Oh well, we'll just re-import the material. So let's come back here into Designer and it's seriously gonna bother me that it's not with the rest. Okay. Normal, yeah, normal intensity. So it turns out I did need to turn it down, but this is fine. Set this max to like 50, just a stupid obscenely high value. Intensity of the surface, normal. label, excuse me, normal, intensity, group, normal, and here, set our intensity to normal intensity. Why? There it is. It's like, why do you not exist? We would have problems if it did not. Okay, so we save it, come back in here, publish. Just gonna save over that one. Yes, I'm aware it already exists. Okay. I love that my display engine is Direct3D 10, even though I have a Direct 11 card, and it doesn't really make any difference. Oh, excuse me. Okay. So, let's reload this. So this is kind of my base material. And nice. Now I have a normal group, although I don't know how I feel about why it's doing this. So maybe this is a resolution thing, because the normals are literally set to 0 right now. Yikes. Let's just set that to 2. I'm a bit at a loss. The normal intensity doesn't appear to be doing anything. Let me just jack that up to friggin' maximum. Okay, so it definitely is. But still, even at 0, it's leaving more to be desired. This is really, really weird. Let's just set it to be something low. Come into my texture set settings. Yeah, it's got everything at 2K as well, so if we change the mode to replace, that's a little better. Yeah, I don't have any of these maps that actually need to be baked. Let's come into my normal. Although, yeah, I think I can just, like, turn this opacity down if I'm not a fan of the way that it's coming across, right? Or not. Cool. What the heck? Why are you doing this? Dingus. So you go back. Yeah, thank you. Because there's not like a bit, sort of a base normal underneath, you know? So I guess we're just gonna leave this at 100 and deal with it. Although, I wanted... Okay, so my cracks aren't really coming through. It looks like they kind of are, like, around there, but that's actually just the seam. And that's why it's flickering, because I have all these post effects on that may not be necessary right now. Well, let's get started with something interesting. So somewhere there should be a dirt generator. It's probably one of these smart masks. Yeah. Cavity rust. Let's just go with concrete edge. And okay, that's right. That's right. So we've got this layer on here, right? Oh, hey, what the hell? Okay, there we go. This can literally be whatever I want it to. So let's say this is like a dirty material. Here I can come in. I mean, I could paint this all myself as well. Smart materials, normal materials. Get this mortar wall. Something like this might be what I want. So let's put that there. Right, okay, I don't need that layer. Now I have two options at this point. I can literally just go and sort of play with the blend mode, but that's less than boring. Still having these weird normal issues. But I'm actually just gonna live with these smart masks and like concrete edges too, and do something like that. Or honestly, we could even do the opposite. Put the concrete on top, and I think that does that for, yeah, that does that for all of them. So then like mask that out. We kind of get something like that, which is pretty akin to kind of what I'm looking for. I suppose now that we can, I mean, should we so desire, we can start painting. You know, if we came into the mortar wall and, oh, I have to add a new layer for that. We just call this color adjustments. You know, I could come and then like paint additional concrete on top. Yeah, so it absolutely does have hide and normal data. I have like a control one of these. Okay, that's flow. I don't know what my eraser tool is. Give me the hotkey for it. Oh, doesn't matter. Just go in and erase all of this. In this scenario, I don't really have anything to, you know, use. Well, if I wanted, I could like throw on this sort of fibrous material as my alpha. And I bet somewhere that I've got, I don't need that. No, I don't really care for those. Those are a little too procedural, but if I came in my normal, just painted on that. Don't actually think this is going to do anything at the moment. Okay, so come back into my brushes. Select this fibers. So I could like pencil in some custom thing, but that's because that's what my material is set at. So let's come and undo that. And if we were to say, went back into my materials, and this is where I might actually like build some additional materials. I bet somewhere there might be something like what I'm looking for. Actually, yeah, I don't even necessarily care for the wood grain itself. So if I wanted, we can like sort of drag this up and kind of just like paint these sweeping motions to sort of, you know, add in that kind of look that we saw. I don't know where the OBJ for this exists, so I told myself I was gonna like pull this into Redshift, and I still will. It would be nice to like use this as the base, but I don't know where this model friggin' exists. Oh, you know what? I wonder if I can actually just like export it all together. So I really like this. I might end up finding this base substance and tweaking this. And okay, that's how you do straight lines. I need to come in here and friggin' okay, well let's start by deactivating post effects. Go to my viewer settings, and can we please friggin' use a different map? There we go. Play with my opacity there. That's much better. So like, kind of have those subtle scratches on there, but that's still not really what I'm going for. I highly doubt that there's guts. I'm gonna need to just build a thing for this, you know. I could turn up this and then go and paint that way. I say it's color adjustments, but this is really not. I mean, it's actually kind of working out when they're like just sort of layered on top of each other. Although I think when going through this, it doesn't make sense, you know, when you think about how someone puts plaster on, that they flow like that. You know, I don't know what the name is. The person who would be responsible for doing this would probably like work on the whole surface at the time, and then come in with literally like a smaller little scraper to get all those details in. For the sake of this video, honestly, I'm okay with it, because we really just need to get this material built and into Redshift. So just do something like that. It's a little more stretched than I'd like it to be. This is honestly absolutely like not the filter. So the normals are way too intense. And I absolutely did like turn them to maximum and, you know, overdrive. So we're just gonna come down and turn that intensity down. You know, if I wanted, I could like edit the mapping on here, but I don't really see the need to do that. Okay, so with that, moving forward, what do we need to do to, well, yeah, we just need to export this, I suppose. We're going to export mesh and OBJ, and if I'm honest, I think I'm just going to save it to my desktop. New, that's, get that out of here. Let's go new folder. And let's just call this preview sphere wooden. So now I have my preview sphere, and we're just going to save that in there, and that's going to take a second to do its thing. Oh, my stream is telling me that I have an error. Oh. Okay, let's go back, and now let's export textures. And I mean, let's be smart about this and export 4K. That's hilarious. Document channels. Yeah, that should be everything that we need. I don't need to dilation infinite. Do 16-bit PNG just for better clarity. Come into, not 3D objects, oops. Oh, I don't know why I called it that, but whatever. Whatever. I think that that's all that we need. So I'm gonna let that compute. And at this point, I'm gonna pause the stream real quick, take a little bit of a break, and see what I want to do kind of moving forward with the next hour. So I will catch you guys after the break.